Welcome back. Well, like we mentioned, there is some amount of an uptick that we're seeing for the Nifty now. So we're up around 1% for the Nifty. We have a good advance decline ratio on our hands. So that's a positive after 2 days of what has been quite a dismal advance decline ratio. So today it's currently standing at around 4:1, 1,198 stocks advancing to around 266 stocks declining. So that graph really hasn't contracted. It's managed to maintain that gap that you can see. But let's get in those commodity strategies then. We have Hitesh Jain of IIFL joining in with a couple of his calls. Hitesh, hi. Thanks very much for joining in this morning. First, on precious metals, any of your recommendations either on gold or silver today?
See, I may not read too much what has happened overnight in the overseas market, because you need to understand that the central banks these days are more fickle than the English weather. Although Janet Yellen in her speech yesterday may have sounded dovish, but I will not be surprised if she deviates from what she has said at the Fed meeting on April 26, 27. So overall, you may have seen some retracement in US dollar index, but I think this is all short-lived. And having said that, I think I'm still of the opinion that gold and silver prices will both continue to consolidate in a broader range, where I see gold constrained in the $1,200 to $1,280 range for the next few weeks. But for today, I think that the recent gains which we have seen may not sustain, and I would prefer to sell silver around 36,800, and the target should be 36,250, and stop loss should be around 37,100.
Okay, so that's on silver. Hitesh, hi, good morning. What about copper?
See, I stick with my point of view as far as non-ferrous metals are concerned. In fact, when we spoke last week as well, I was of the opinion that the gains in the industrial commodities will not sustain, because the markets are of the opinion that some kind of supply side response which we have seen from China, I think it's not substantial or not adequate enough to basically, it's very, when you consider the demand picture in China. So I think this gains will not sustain. I'll prefer to sell copper around the current levels, around 324, 325 on the MCX, and eventually we'll see the target of 320, 318 in the coming days.
Okay. All right. Hitesh, and what about crude?
Crude oils, I think the recent upside which we are seeing have actually been diluting, and there's a restriction on the upside because of the high inventory in the US. And markets are although looking forward to the April 17th, April 20th meeting where the OPEC and the non-OPEC players are going to meet, but I don't see anything substantial coming out. So I would prefer to sell at the current levels. On the M6, I would prefer to sell around 2590, and the target should be 2510.
Okay, so that's a couple of commodity ideas. Very quickly, you have a call on natural gas as well?
Yeah, natural gas is absolutely a speculative commodity, and although there's nothing on the fundamental side, but I sense some kind of short covering, because after a sharp fall in natural gas price for the past few weeks, I see a bottom happening around 125, 130 levels. And for today, I think I'd prefer to sell buy around 131, and the target should be around 130, and stop loss should be 127.
Okay. All right. Fair enough, Hitesh. We're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and taking us through all of your commodity strategies. Well, one company which is in fact involved in the commodity space is Tata Steel.